This is 4.5 Skin Accessory Organ Notes. The essential question is, what structures make up the hair and nail, and what are the functions of the skin appendages? Skin accessory organs, also called skin appendages or sometimes referred to as skin derivatives, are accessory organs that are associated with the skin that have a specific function in the integumentary system. Look at the picture on the right and notice that the hair is derived from or originates from the actual skin layer, and then what happens is it starts growing inward further and further as you go down the picture, and this is why it's meant that it is a downgrowth of the epidermal layer. So even though the hair is beneath the skin and it is it's inside the dermal layer, it is part of the epidermis. The first skin accessory we're going to talk about is the hair. Hair is a flexible collection of dead cells that are heavily keratinized epithelial cells. Function of hair is for thermoregulation, which means controls body temperature. It's for protection. You see that more in animals where they kind of make their hair stand up in order to make themselves look bigger, but also having an extra layer of fur will protect the underlying skin. Touch sense means that if you think of hair around like your eyelashes, anytime things want to fly into your eye, or when anything gets near your eye, you kind of blink. It's because the hair triggers a touch sense, and then so it automatically causes your eye to close to keep stuff out of your eyes. Location, hair is located in the hair follicle, which is basically a indentation or a pocket in the skin where the hair sits in. Other portions of the hair is the hair root, which is the portion of the hair that is underneath the skin. Hair shaft is the portion of the hair above the skin, and hair follicle, again, it is the covering or the space that the hair sits in. The hair bulb is the enlarged bottom portion of the hair. Hair papilla is the little projection or the little bulb, the little oval kind of shape at the bottom of the hair where the actual hair grows. And it also contains a capillary loop, which is a blood vessel that keeps the hair nourished at the base. But as the hair grows at the base of the root and then at the hair bulb, and then it gets pushed toward the top, and that's how hair grows. Hair matrix is the portion that surrounds the hair papilla. So again, hair bulb is this thicker portion toward the bottom. It almost looks like a light bulb. Hair papilla is this oval little section at the bottom, at the base of the hair. And the hair matrix is the portion that surrounds the hair papilla. There are 3 layers to the actual hair. The center portion is called the medulla. Surrounding the medulla, or the middle layer, is you could think of it as the outer layer, is the cortex, and then the very transparent thin covering of the cortex is the cuticle, which gives it its strength. Here is pictures of 3 different types of hair. So the coloring of the medulla, so if you look at the picture on the left, that dark portion in the middle here, that's the medulla. And then the lighter area would be the cortex. And then very thin layer along the outer edge would be the cuticle. Notice the picture on the right, it has a much thicker medulla. And so depending on which type of hair and what body part we're looking at, the texture and the thickness and the coloring is going to vary. Here's a cross section of the hair. The actual hair portion is only this area right here. Okay, that's the actual hair. The centermost portion of the hair is called the medulla. Then surrounding the medulla is the cortex, which is in the pale pink here. That's your cortex. And then the very, very thin, almost like a white layer surrounding the cortex is your cuticle. That is the only part that is the hair. Now the rest of the layer, those three, is the actual hair follicle. The layer that is closest to the hair in the bright pink, that is your internal epithelial root sheath. Surrounding that in the lighter pink here, that's your external epithelial root sheath. And this is the layer that is continuous with the actual epidermis layer. And then the outermost layer in this violet or light purple color, that is your connective tissue root. So the connective tissue root sheath and the external epithelial root sheath and the internal epithelial root sheath makes up the hair follicle. Now when you look at the base of the hair, you see this little oval looking shape. That is your hair papilla. Surrounding that is your hair matrix, where the actual hair growth occurs. So hair is newer toward the bottom near the hair bulb, and the hair grows up, and as it gets further and further toward the top, then it becomes older. So ends of your hair is much older. The hair closer to the root of your hair is the newer hair. A structure associated with the hair is the erector pili muscle, which is a muscle, smooth muscle, and during times of cold or even in emotional upset, when you're nervous, scared, or angry, it can cause the muscle to contract. And when the muscle contracts, it shortens, and what happens is, see the picture on the left, the hair is kind of at a slant laying down, and then when the erector pili muscle contracts, it makes the hair stand on end. And the reason why hair keeps your body warm is that when all of your hair is standing up straight like that, then what happens is, notice your skin is way down here and cold air is here. So there is a barrier between the cold air and your skin, which is created by the hair, and that's what keeps the body warm. The reason why, not so much in humans, but in animals, when they're angry or they're in danger, this also causes their hair to stand on end, and it gives the illusion that the animal is bigger, and so it is an intimidation tactic when the animal is in danger, as a protective mechanism. Now, how that creates goosebumps is that when your hair stands on end like that, it creates this little crease in the skin, which causes a bump, and that is why it's called a goosebump. And the reason why it gets its name is if you ever seen a plucked goose, you can see that little bumps on the skin. That's what they get the name from. Next is the nail. Nail is very much like hair, except the fact that unlike hair, which is a flexible type of keratin, nails are more of a harder, more tightly packed keratinized cells, and the function for that is for protection, obvious for scratching, and it allows for grasping. And what I mean by protection, without that extra nail at the end, it will literally wear down the tips of your fingers, so it is an actual protection for the fingers. And the growth rate of nails is about 1 millimeter a week, and that's an average estimate. Some people, their nails grow faster, some don't, and it also is associated with diet and also age, and all that kind of factors can cause whether your nails grow fast or slow. Parts of nails are free edge, which is the portion of the nail that hangs over the nail bed, which is kind of like the hair shaft. body would be the portion that is attached to the nail. The root of the nail is the portion that is underneath the skin, just like the hair root, there's the nail root. And then cuticle is the part of an extra skin that attaches the skin to the nail. Next is the nail bed, which is the underneath the nail, and this is the area where the nail slides across in order for it to grow. Notice that the nails grow at the edge here, and then it grows across. So newer nails are closer to the tip, the base of the fingernail, and then it grows and then it moves. So the portion that hangs off the free edge is the older nails, and then the one that is closest to the cuticle is the newest layer. Nail matrix is where the nail production occurs, and lunula is this half-moon shaped area of the nail. Okay, here's a diagram of the nail. Again, nail matrix is the portion underneath the skin close to the root of the nail where the nail is actually. Nail root is the portion of the nail that's underneath the cuticle is the little piece of skin that attaches the nail to the skin. Body of the nail is the major portion of the nail that sits on top of the nail bed. Nail bed is the structure underneath that the nail slides across in order to grow. The free edge is the portion of the nail that is off the edge of the nail bed. The exocrine glands of the skin, remember exocrine glands are any glands that secrete materials out of the body. So sebaceous gland is an oil gland. It is associated with the hair follicle, and they produce sebum, which is the name of the oil. Function of the sebum is for moistening the hair and waterproofing the skin. It also, because of its pH, it also has an antibacterial and antifungal effect, which means it kills bacteria and fungus. Sudoriferous glands are your sweat glands, and there are two types. The first is the eccrine sweat glands, and the main function of the eccrine gland is to cool the body. They also is for excretion of waste such as urea, uric acid, and ammonia. Locations of the eccrine gland is all areas except for the lips and the external genitalia, and it is common in thick skin. Apocrine sweat glands is associated with the hair follicle. It only becomes functional during puberty, and it may be associated with pheromones, more so in animals, other mammals, but pheromones, remember, are chemicals that are released by the opposite sex that attracts, helps in attraction. Apocrine gland is also associated with emotional stimulus. Location is limited to axilla, genitalia, areola, nipple, and perianal region, and it is what causes body odor. And it is not necessarily the sweat that causes the body odor. It is the bacteria that basically lives around there and releases their waste product, and that's what causes the body odor. Two other exocrine glands, which are modified sudoriferous glands, are ceruminous glands, which secrete cerumen, which is earwax, and mammary glands, which secrete milk. Here is a picture of the skin tissue, and notice that the eccrine and apocrine gland look very similar in appearance. I don't expect you to be able to distinguish them. If you see the squiggly-like line looking structure, then that's how you're going to know that it is the sweat gland. Sebaceous gland, on the other hand, it's going to be a little bit different structure, and it's going to be attached to a hair follicle. And notice that it's more near toward the top of the dermis layer. There are certain factors that affect skin color. Genetic factors means your race, your nationality. Remember that everyone has same number of melanocytes, even people with albinism, but the number of or the amount of melanin produced can be different depending on race and nationality. Environmental factors could mean that areas where there's a lot more sunlight, you're going to have a lot more darker skin. Physiological factors could mean it could kind of tell you about your health. The more blood, healthy circulation you have, you're going to have a more of a pink, red tint to your skin. If you have poor circulation or you have some kind of a circulatory or cardiovascular problem, then you're going to have a more of a bluish tint to your skin because there's lack of oxygen. A condition called cyanosis means that you have a bluish tint to your skin because there is no low oxygen. Another pigment that can affect skin color is carotene, which will give you a yellowish orange tint, which also means that if you eat a large amounts of carrots, that could also cause your skin to become yellowish orange. But you would have to eat tons of carrots in a short amount of time. Another condition that might show up on your skin is jaundice. Jaundice is associated with liver problems. When you are not able to process bile well, it will accumulate in the skin and it will give a more yellowish tint to your skin. It could also make your nails and the whites of your eyes yellowish. That could indicate some type of a liver problem. Number 1, how are hair and nails similar in structure? Number 2, how are apocrine and eccrine glands different? Number 3, what factors contributes to skin color?